Alright guys, today I'll be discussing why Wildwood Grove is the best themed area I've experienced at any amusement park. Now before we start, I want to mention that CapCut's back. I'm going to keep the new intro, but everything else will go back to normal. Now I've experienced a lot of really well themed areas such as Hogsmeade at Islands of Adventure, Pandora at Animal Kingdom, Germany at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. You get the point. I've experienced a lot, but I think Wildwood Grove is the best out of any themed area. There's three main things that I want to talk about with this land, and the first one I want to talk about is one that's a lot more subtle, but is really important, and it's the music. They do not blast pop music or just other random country songs from the rest of the park in here. No, they make sure that the music in here is very majestic, very fairy tale sounding. You'll hear a lot of harps and flutes and just overall very upbeat feeling music. Again, it's taking you into Wildwood Grove, this magical land. And there's also all these sound effects like birds chirping and everything. That sounds really cool. You've also got the running water, which is actual water that runs throughout the middle section of the land, which sounds really nice to add to all that ambiance. And of course, you've also got the middle playground area with all the instruments. And of course, the kids playing around with those doesn't sound too great. I was kind of tempted to go over and play something good for the people, but of course I had better things to do like riding Big Bear Mountain. But I think people underestimate how much sounds really adds to the atmosphere. The second thing I want to talk about is by far the largest, and that is the actual theming. You can't have a good themed land without good theming, and this theming is almost perfect. Of course, the section by Big Bear Mountain and everything doesn't have enough trees, but that's really my only complaint. This land looks perfect otherwise. All the rides are themed up perfectly. The rock work is all so majestic and so perfectly designed to look whimsical and have this fairy tale-like design. The log that you walk through right away is actually really cool. I love that that's the entry portal. It really sets the mood that you're getting into this sort of fairy tale land with all these birds and squirrels and whatever running around. Another thing about this land is that all the flat rides look extremely good. Take the pirate ship, for example. That's themed to like a log in a tree, and it just looks perfect. It's not super complex, but it gets the job done at transporting you to a fairy tale land. And that's the biggest thing with this land, is that it's not over the top. There's nothing over the top about this land, but I like it that way. It shouldn't be over the top. It shouldn't be pushing IPs or these big set pieces in your face. It should just be a fairy tale land. That's exactly what it is, and that's exactly what you get. All the shops look very accurate to what you'd think they would look like for this type of land, and it looks really nice. The pathways all look great. You got these trees that are hanging up with butterflies as leaves, and that's something that's really subtle. You kind of have to look for it, but if you notice it, it is a really nice touch seeing the butterfly leaves. There's also a couple of bridges going over water, which looks really nice. And there's also some playground equipment here, which usually I'm not a big fan of. I usually think it just kind of looks ugly, and there's no point of putting these splash pads and playground equipment in a park when you have way better things to do. But I don't mind them. The splash pad actually really adds to the atmosphere. Having the water shoot up just really adds to this Wildwood Grove themed area. And the playground equipment actually looks really nice. I never thought I'd say this about playground equipment, but I think it actually adds to the theming. The last thing here are of course the rides. Now there's not too many of them. There's 2 coasters and a bunch of flat rides. And the flat rides are all just kind of, yeah, whatever. You got some flying scooters, you got a Moose on the Loose ride, which isn't as good as Moose on the Loose, of course. But of course you got Dragon Flyer and Big Bear Mountain. Dragon Flyer is alright, but Big Bear Mountain is the best family coaster I've done by far. That ride's an absolute masterclass in theming and really fits in with this land. But that being said, there's definitely lands with better ride collections. Wildwood Grove isn't necessarily the biggest or flashiest land, but it gets the job done better than any other land. You are in that fantasy land that Dollywood wants you to be in. Those are my thoughts on Wildwood Grove. Let me know what you guys thought of this video down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.